Okay, we are live. Welcome to Saturday Movie Night, everybody. My name is Dave McRae. It is probably going to be maybe a quiet evening tonight. Not too many people in the chat room right now. For those of us who are joining us after the fact, and you're wondering why you can't participate, it might be because you're not part of my Patreon. This is a Patreon exclusive only for level number 2 and 3 members. It's exclusive to level number 2 and 3 members for the live feed, which is happening as I'm talking right now. But it's exclusive to level number 3 members, in terms of voting. And what ends up happening is I give out 5 movies to vote on, and the winner, the one that gets the most votes, I end up watching and doing some commentary. So we've done Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. We've done Halloween, the original, from 1978. We've done the original A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. And now we are doing the iconic, the classic Jaws from 1975. This was big. This was, in terms of the voting, this was neck and neck between Jaws and the original Friday the 13th from 1980, which is kind of funny because I'm wearing my Friday the 13th hoodie. Jaws edged out the original Friday the 13th by 1 vote. Literally 1 vote. But it won. So we're going to be watching Jaws tonight. So, so we got Rich Moore in the chat room. Hey, Dave. Hey, Tabitha. How are you? Frank, how's it going? David Ferguson, what's going on? Chris Manley, good to see you guys in the chat room. Hopefully you guys have Jaws ready to go. Tabitha, I know you said that you didn't have Jaws in your collection. So hopefully you were able to maybe get your hands on it. I will let you guys know when I'm about to hit play, which I am going to do right. Let me see here. So I'm starting this right from the old Universal logo. Now, depending on when you guys or how you purchased it or rented it, if you have it on your own, depending on which version you have, make sure you're ready to go at the original old school Universal logo. Okay, not the new one that might come up before where it says like 100th anniversary or something like that. Talking about the one that's attached to the original film. And you'll kind of see it begin to fade in from a distance. You'll hear like these kind of weird sounds in the background. That's where I'm going to start this, okay? So let's get this, let's get Jaws 1975 going! Saturday movie night. All right, here we go. And hey, I apologize, I haven't uploaded a video with me talking and ranting about something. It's just, it's taken me like a week and a half or almost 2 weeks to get over this cold that I got when I got back from LA. So don't worry, I will be back in full force soon, but it's just been one of those things that are just lingering, you know what I mean? All right, here we go. I'm hitting play now, and what's on my screen is that old school Universal logo beginning, and it says Universal, an MCA company. That's what's on the screen right now. All right. This is great. Of course, John Williams' iconic score is about to kick in. This is... Wait. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's orgasmic. A Zanuck Brown production is on the screen right now. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss. Here it comes. I don't know what I'm doing there. I guess a bass or something. Jaws. The logo Jaws is on the screen. Co-starring Lorraine Gary. Great opening. Of course, just the POV shot. And we all know that because there were so many problems working on this movie in terms of the technical aspects of the production and getting the shark to work, of course, we all know that that the shark actually was supposed to be seen a lot more than it eventually was in the movie. We were actually supposed to see the shark, not excessively more, but I would say, more, and earlier in the film as well. But because they had so many problems in terms of the mechanical shark Bruce, that was his name. That's what they called him on set. they had to resort to more of the theater of the mind, which that wasn't what they wanted to do, but it's what they ended up having to do. And it worked. It was great. And of course, I was going to say Carpenter, Williams' score has become iconic. You know what I mean? And whenever the shark is around, if you notice, that theme is only playing when the shark is around. There's some moments that we'll see coming up on the beach later on where you'll see like that scene where there's that false alarm, right? And it's just the kids with the fake fin. The Jaws theme is not played through any of that. When there's the commotion and, you know, the cops are out on the boat saying, what's going on out here? The theme is nowhere to be found. And that was a deliberate, creative choice to only use it when we see the shark, right? Smart. Really, really smart. And you don't notice that if you were watching it for the first time in 1975, or even maybe some of you watching this commentary haven't really picked up on that. But that is, in fact, the case. So yeah, because the shark, they had so many problems, they had to resort to more of the theater of the mind. So the girl has now just gotten naked and jumped into the water here. And her drunk boyfriend is, I'm coming! I'm coming! This is a great shot that's about to come up here. Looks like she's doing synchronized swimming. Come in the water! Watch this shot. Underneath the water. And the light casting the silhouettes. Just gorgeous. Like, it's so iconic in its own right. When you see this, and that shot, too, where she's treading water. And it's from underneath. And you hear bump, 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 bump. And the camera slowly moving up. Here it comes. Look at this shot. This is an iconic shot. You see this shot. It's one of the most iconic images in the history of motion pictures. Just unbelievable. Of course, we know what happens. And this is frightening. Like, you don't see the shark. This is genuinely frightening. Imagine watching this in 1975. And the performance here is great. She's being pulled. And I believe, I stand to be corrected, but I believe there were divers underneath, or somebody that they were pulling her or something from side to side, or they were trying to do something, and she was going with it to make it look much more bombastic and out of control. But this is just great. Oh, yeah, like it would have been genuinely frightening to watch this in the theater, 43 years ago. The screaming. And that's it. And you never see the shark. I mean, you know it's a shark, but it's just, it's so great. It still holds up today. I got a message on Patreon from, who was it? Daniel Seeley, I think, messaged me and asked me, do you think the shark in Jaws, in the original Jaws, is still the best on-screen shark that we've seen? And I've got to say, yes, 100%. Absolutely 100%. It is the best on-screen shark that we've had. Out of all the shark movies that they have done, even, the Meg, Deep Blue Sea, what's that other one? 47 Meters Down, I think, was one. That one with Blake Lively, The Shallows. It's not that computer-generated sharks don't look good at certain moments, but I still don't think they've mastered the shark. I really don't. It looks, in all those movies, it looks computer to me. And this shark, even though it's mechanical and it's actually tangible, it's physically there. And I mean, maybe there's certain moments that look a little awkward, certain little, but it looks terrifying. It looks real. When you see the shark in the water, and Roy Scheider and Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss, their characters are looking over the side of the Orca, and you see that big mechanical shark go by. It's not real, but it's physically there. It's tangible, right? Practical effects. It looks genuinely real to me. It does. It does. It looks much more real than any of the computer animated sharks. Computer generated sharks, I should say. I hope it looks more real than the animated ones. What's going on in the chat room here? Rich Moore says, yes, 2 divers on either side pulling her. That's what I thought. Yeah, and she would obviously go with them as well. You know what I mean? To make it seem more, but it's just great. Oh, Sharknado, too. I forgot about... Yeah, that's right, Sharknado. Well, Sharknado, to be fair, the very first Sharknado was a spoof. And obviously. And then, of course, it was so bad it was good. They just made like 5 or 6 more or whatever. But I don't count that when I'm judging. But I get what you're saying. So I'm at the scene now here where Chief Brody is pulling out of the his driveway and is heading off into town in that little truck, saying goodbye to his kids and his wife. This is gorgeous. And this was, of course, I don't know if this was here, but of course the vast majority of the movie, especially the town, was shot at Martha's Vineyard. So really cool. Amity Island welcomes you. 50th annual. Somebody could have. I was so drunk, man. If I was Chief Brody, I'd want to punch this guy in the fucking head. I want to punch him in the head. This looks gorgeous. I don't know if any of you guys are watching this on Blu-ray right now, but Jaws on Blu-ray has to be one of the best old movie transfers I've ever seen. And I'm not a big fan of transferring the old movies into the Blu-ray, okay. But I'm not a big fan of transferring a lot of old movies into 4K, even though I know they can look beautiful. Depending on what movie it is, it tends to take away a lot of the visual aesthetic in terms of you know, the grain and the grit and things like that. But Jaws looks gorgeous. Like, it looks like a movie that came out like maybe 10 years ago. I mean, that's a bit of hyperbole, but it looks gorgeous. So I don't know if anybody is watching it on Blu-ray, but it looks great. I love how in the chewed up body, you see like the hand and the ring. Roy Scheider looks off into the distance. Is the chief in there? The chief in there? I love her. Is the chief in there? It's the there. This woman is still alive today. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? She's 138. She's still kicking. Chief Brody's office. I love how he types in shark attack, even though he has no evidence for it. Right? He looks at it. He makes the educated get. Well, look. I mean, look at this body that's been chewed up here. It's got to be, you know, the probability factor of it being a shark attack is quite high, so that's what I'm going to go with. Even though at this point I don't think the coroner has looked at the body yet. Of course, they're all bought and paid for because the mayor does not want to lose any summer dollars. Summer dollars. David Ferguson says, my aunt took me, my brother, and my cousin to see this at Christmas 1975 when it first came out. I was 5 years old at the time. Very cool, David. Oh, that's awesome. I wasn't born yet. I was born 4 years later, but that's pretty cool. Oh, there's that old... oh, you know what I just realized? That's the same old guy that's on the beach. Hey, you don't go in the water at all, do you, Chief? That's some bad hat, Larry. I just for some reason right now realize that's Larry. Oh, this is great. That's how he drops. Oh, you see his face when he dropped that? He's like it's intense. Frank Riker says the casting was perfect. Yeah, it was. It was great casting. It was great casting. It was. Can you believe that Richard Dreyfuss, I stand to be corrected on this, can you believe that in this movie, he's like 28 years old? I mean, like him in real life. I don't know what his character's supposed to be, but him in real life, he's like 28. He just seems older in this movie for some reason. It's probably the beard. He's 20. It's like something like that. 27. 28. And of course, the deputy here is the same guy. That's right. I was just, oh, there you go. David Ferguson got to it before me. Yep, that's right. He was the dentist. in Halloween 2. Or the guy that was, I don't know if he was a dentist, but I assume he was. Chris Manley, 1994, says, yeah, Dreyfuss was 28 to 30, but he looks about 40-ish. Yeah, it's just, I think it's the character he's playing. You know, he's a smart guy, right? He's a marine biologist. Is he a marine biologist? I think he's a marine biologist, something like that. And he's very smart, very articulate. He's Richard Dreyfuss, right? So just his presence and the way he's acting, it seems like he's a bit older than he is, especially 28-year-olds today. Tabitha Short says, I've never seen a mobile dock like that before. Yeah, I have. They're probably more common in smaller towns like that. Like, this is supposed to, it's a fictional town, right? Obviously, it's really Martha's Vineyard. The fictional town of Amityville. It's supposed to be an island off the coast of, is it supposed to be off, like, in the Massachusetts area? Is it supposed to be in that area? I think it's supposed to be in that area, or maybe close to Florida or something. In the book, I can't remember what they said. But this is great. This is great. Yell barracuda. Everyone says, huh? What? You yell shark. We got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July. Love it. That would have been a line that you put in the trailer. Is it in the trailer? It might be in the trailer. I haven't watched the trailer's great. Oh. There's Alex Kintner. Kintner? I think that's his name. Oh, I'm getting the wrong water here. Michael Martinez is in the house. Says, hey, Dave, Amity Long. Oh, Amity Long. Really? Is it supposed to be Long Island? Oh, okay. Amity Long Island. Really? I thought it was further down. I thought it was further down the coast than that. But you could be right. Okay. All right. Fair enough then. Then he's not too far away from where he moved, because they moved from New York, like they moved from the city. That makes sense then. That makes sense. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it was filmed in Martha's Vineyards. I came prepared today with lots of bottles of water, because when you're talking for 2 hours straight, this is so great. Here it comes. Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Poor little dog. So I'm at the scene now, of course, where Chief Brody is just sitting on the water, looking out, watching a few people. It's not the 4th of July yet. It's probably like the end of June, you know, and he's just kind of sitting there. He's convinced, man. He's convinced there's fucking more out there. And then he sees Larry with his bad hat swim under that very large woman. He actually swam under her. That's impressive for a man that age, to actually get that kind of depth to swim under the woman. You know what's funny? When you used to watch the VHS of this, that guy that's just come over and he's like, hey, Marty. Because it was cropped and you weren't watching it in 16:9, you'd miss this guy who's talking to him. You'd see Brody, but you would never see him. You just kind of hear him. I remember that. Pretty cool. Tabitha Short says, why does Chief Brody look so familiar to me? Does he to anyone else? You mean the actor? Well, Roy Scheider's a very famous actor. He's dead now. Or do you mean that, does he look like somebody that would be around today? He was in The French Connection. He was in, of course, Jaws 2. He was in 2010, the year they make contact. He's been in quite a few things. He's most famous for his role of Jaws and probably The French Connection. Frank Riker says, David Shore company uses bad hat. Oh, is it Harry or Larry? I thought it was Larry, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's Harry. Oh, here it comes. Do you know the Muffin Man? Pipit! Look at that yellow golf shirt. It's sexy. My dad used to wear like bright color golf shirts like that. And of course, now this is great. We go to the POV shot, and we have the theme, and he's looking, and then he focuses in on this raft because of all the movement. It looks like a bigger, it looks bigger, maybe like a seal or something, right? Looks bigger, more interesting, so he wants to take a bite out of it. Look, I love that. I love seeing, and you don't even have to, oh, look, yeah, the blood coming up too. It's so good. It's great. Because you're not seeing anything. And this camera trick, zooming up while pulling back. Oh, it's so good. When it's done right, it's done. And of course, back then, it was really effective. It's been done quite a bit now in films, but back then it was like, whoa. But this was so good, especially when you see just this big, like you see a fin or something, like, that's all you need. You literally don't need anything else, because it's the hysteria of the commotion, right? It's that what's going on. It's that uncertainty. And you just see this big fin kind of flop over and blood. It's like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? And then as soon as it begins, it stops. And everybody's out of the water. And then, of course, his mother is like, what the fuck? And this great shot of the raft. Reminds me of what Spielberg did in Saving Private Ryan, 20 years later, with the bodies, of course, and the blood on the beach there. Yeah, it's great stuff. I love it. Love that. I just love the fact that they are showing, that they just show these two fins. It's just like, what? Because to me, it makes it more like, whoa, shit, what the, like, because of the size, right? You're like, what the fuck? Was that a killer whale? Was that a whale? What the fuck was that? And then you see like this blood, like, oh my God, it's frightening. Imagine watching, like, now we're so desensitized. Imagine watching that in the theater in 1975. Fuck. It'd be like, shit. It's almost hard for people to have that kind of objective perspective. Okay, what's going on in the chat room? Tabitha says she's gonna IMDb Rush Hour. Yeah, do that. Yeah, that'll probably help you. He's been in a lot of stuff. Of course, this movie was the movie that is given credit to starting the summer blockbuster. This is of course, after this, it was such a huge deal, this film, and I believe it also was the first movie to break $100 million at the box office. Now, some people say, well, no, if you factor in inflation, you might be able to go back to, Gone with the Wind, and you might be able to, but this actually was the movie that did it domestically. The first movie to break $100 million domestically at the box office in its initial run. But you also have to keep in mind that movies back then were in the theater a lot longer, because they weren't leaving the theater and then coming onto VHS, or coming onto DVD, right? So movies back then were in theater sometimes half a year, sometimes a year, not necessarily playing at its full capacity for that entire year. Maybe, it would be in all the theaters for 3 or 4 months, and then it would be harder and harder and harder to find, but it wouldn't be unprecedented for a movie to come out in June and you're still seeing it in November or something like that. Nowadays, movies, especially if the studios feel that, well, maybe they didn't do quite well at the box office, but we might be able to reap the benefits and capitalize on that by releasing it on DVD, that's where a lot of the money is as well, right? They can make their extra cash there. So it's a whole thing now. It's not just about the movie theaters, whereas back then it was. But it was. Yeah, Jaws, I believe, went on to... Its total gross worldwide, I believe, was $260 million. And at that time, that was unheard of. It was, what the hell is this? It was an absolute phenom of an event. And it began what is known today as, well... It's really not known anymore as the summer blockbuster. It's known now as just the blockbuster, because summer blockbusters are, have been pushed back into like March now. Excuse me. Sorry, that was gross. So Quint is just, Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw looks like my grandfather. He passed away almost 20 years ago now. My mom's dad, Lewis Hunt, Lou, British guy. I should bring up a photo of Lou Hunt sometime. He looks like Robert Shaw. Like, I'm not saying, like, he looks like Robert Shaw. I don't think I have that ready available. Yeah, I should have thought of that before I started the stream. He does, though. Every time I see, he looks like my grandfather would have at like that age. Doesn't look like him when he died, but it's pretty cool. It was a great speech. Quint, Robert Shaw's got quite a few great speeches. And Robert Shaw didn't live much longer past this film. What was the year that Robert Shaw died? Let me just Robert Shaw. He died in 1978. So he died only 3 years after this movie was made. So he didn't live much longer. He had an alcohol problem as well. But he pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, that's right. I'll catch him and kill him for 10. I'll get you the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. That's how he says it. He's like, the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. Chris Manley, 1994, says, I value my neck way more than $3,000, Chief. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I love it. Yeah, there's a lot of funny characters in this movie. When I say funny, I don't mean like, ha ha ha, funny, like hilarious. I just mean really, not well developed, but really well defined characters. He's not on the ocean. He's in a boat. That's the scene I'm at right now. This is great. Again, I don't know if you guys are watching this on Blu-ray, but the behind almost looks like it's green screen. I don't think it is, though. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. The Blu-ray transfer is unbelievable. This Blu-ray transfer is undoubtedly one of the best I've ever seen. Hands down. Yeah, this is great. The two fishermen out there on the dock. Or not on the dock, out on the boat. Michael Martinez, Robert Shaw was also in Black Sunday and Taking a Pelham. Yes, he was. Yes, the original. Yeah, that's right. Yes, he was. Frank Riker says, Heston was offered the part of Quint. Yep, I remember that. Heston would have done well. Charlton Heston would have been a good Quint. Yep, I could see that. Totally see that. Same kind of guy. Kind of like a pirate. I could see Charlton Heston in the role of Quint. Yeah, like you know how there are sometimes, you know, you say like Kurt Russell, I believe, auditioned for Han Solo. I could see that. Totally see it. Sylvester Stallone? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? No. Charlton Heston as Quint? Yeah. I could see that. I love how he's flipping. And again, like we are 26 minutes into this movie, and the only shark we have seen are in these images through the book that he's slipping through. That slow burn and that dangling of that carrot, that building that momentum over time. This was, I mean, now it's almost, well, it's known as, you know, the Jaws effect, right? Or, you know, do it the way they did it in Jaws. But back at this time, it's not that there weren't any. Look at that too. Oh yeah, fuck, that's intense. That's a great last image to show. Like, this is what they're capable of. Yeah, like back. It's not that there weren't movies that were slow burns. There were a lot of films that were like that. But having an antagonist, the shark, as your star of the movie, because everybody wants to see the shark, right? And just holding it off, but utilizing him through other objects like the barrels in the water at the end of the movie, like the dock that's moving around here, right? The dock breaks away, but it somehow obviously gets hinged or attached to the back of the shark. So what they decide to do is they utilize the dock, because there's no shark there, because they're probably having problems with it. It's probably in the shop. It's probably getting fixed up, right? Because it malfunctioned again. So they utilize the dock to act as the shark. And nowhere do they ever say that the dock got attached to the shark, that the dock somehow got hinged. You don't even see it get hinged. Today, you'd see it get like locked onto the fin or locked onto the back. They didn't need to do that. It is totally illustrated to you that that's what's happening. And you can use your mind to go, well, that's what's happening. Like, you're not here thinking, oh, it's a fucking dock attacking these guys, but that's what it looks like. It looks like it is a dock, a broken away dock, that is chasing these guys. If you look at it objectively and you think about it, it looks like there is just this random piece of wood in the water that is attacking these two men. That's what it looks like. You don't see a fin, you don't see a back, you don't see it lodge on, but you don't need to. You don't need to, because the way they've executed this, the way they've, the dog, and you're watching a shark film, and you can fill in those blanks. You can fill in those blanks. It's just great. It was, I don't know if that's something I would do today, but I don't know if it's something that they would allow me to do today. If I was doing a major studio film, well, no, we got to show it hook on, because people are gonna be like, I don't get it. What's happening? It broke away, and there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, guy, fill in the blank. Obviously, it got latched on somehow. Well, how? That's fucking stupid. No, you're fucking stupid. Okay. It's great shit. Love it. Love it. Ah, Richard Dreyfuss. Love Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's 28. He strikes me as somebody who's, well, maybe mid-30s, maybe. 30, not much older than what he really is. But he was such a good actor. And then, of course, he won his Academy Award not too many years after this. I love Richard Dreyfuss. Anything he's in, anything Richard Dreyfuss is in, he instantly makes the movie better. Not that if he wasn't in this movie, it wouldn't have been a good movie, but I think you know what I'm talking about, right? Chris Manley, 1994, says, I was just wondering, where are you guys up to now? Amazon Prime crashed on me. Oh, shit, that sucks. I'm at the scene where Richard Dreyfuss has just arrived, Matt Hooper. Chief Brody has thrown the rocks at the window to get his deputy's attention. He comes in, takes the cigarette out of his mouth. He's talking to him. That's where I am. Frank Riker says, could Donald Pleasance play Quint? I'm going to say no. I mean, could he? He might be able to, but he doesn't strike me as, I wouldn't think of casting Donald Pleasance as Quint. No. Yeah, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's 20. I would totally buy that he was my age here, too. 40. Well, 39, but essentially 40. He strikes me as somebody who's, yeah. But I think it's the beard. It's the whole beard thing. Sean Connery for Quint. I could see back then, I could see Sean Connery as Quint over Donald Pleasance. Yes. Yep. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that, actually. Of course, this is the Jaws equivalent of the guys in Halloween 4 that all set out to, that's it, we're vigilantes, we're going to get it ourselves. Obviously, because there's a reward, too, in Jaws, so I guess they're not exactly the same, but I love this scene. I love this scene. When Matt Hooper examines the body. This is so great. You gotta listen to this.
The torso has been severed in mid-thorax. There are no major organs remaining. May I have a glass of water, please? Right arm has been severed above the elbow.
And you're not seeing anything. You're just hearing him say those lines, and you're thinking to yourself, fuck. Do you know what I mean? This was no boating accident. Did you notify the Coast Guard about this? Do not smoke in here. Thank you very much.
The left arm, head, shoulders, sternum, and portions of the rib cage are intact. Do not smoke in here. Thank you very much. This is what happens.
So that's our first. That's great. Not our first time, actually. We did see that on the beach. That scene of showing the arm actually is almost unnecessary. I'll be honest. I don't think they... I mean, you know, I'm watching this more analytically now than I ever have before. But they didn't need to show that. We saw her chewed up shit on the beach. It would be just as effective if we never saw it. We just see him hyperventilating because of the shit that he's seeing. This is great, last line. It was a shark. Yeah, that's right. And then you cut, of course, obviously, to the tiger shark, which they think is... And tiger sharks have attacked people and killed people. They are man-eaters, so to speak. Sharks are not man-eaters. Like, they're not... Man is not their... You know what I mean? It is true that, yes, people have been killed by sharks, but it's usually... I think this is the statistic. Have people been eaten by sharks? Yes, it has happened. But I think the vast majority of shark attacks, people die because of a loss of blood, not because they've been eaten by the shark and the shark's, you know, swimming off into the ocean and you're, you know, in its mouth. It doesn't, they usually bite you because they want to know what, they think you're a seal, or they want to see what you are, or what the fuck is this? So they bite you. But the problem is when a shark bites you, you know, it's not like your cat playing with you. You know what I mean? It might just be playing with you. Oh, what's this? And it's like, my leg's gone. You know what I mean? And so that's usually why people end up dying from shark attacks, is because of a loss of blood. I believe that's what the stats show. So it's not, I mean, you have to be careful, but traditionally, we're not on their menu, really. We just happen to get in the way. And tiger sharks have known to attack people as well. Chris Manley says, how about Christopher Lloyd as Quint? Marty! Tab of the short, that arm looks so fake too. Well, yeah, it does. Well, funny enough though, they could justify it because when the body actually is separated from itself, it loses a lot of its color. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, certainly they could do better today for sure. But yeah, they didn't need to show that. Because they showed her chewed up remains on the beach with all those bugs, and you saw like her hand chewed up, and it looked real. Like it looked, whoa, that's kind of nasty. It's fine. Yeah, you didn't even need to show. It was so quick too. It was almost like they just wanted to get that last, you know. I mean, it's fine. It's fine the way it is. It doesn't take anything away. But you certainly wouldn't lose anything if you edited it out. I love it. I love it. Like, imagine watching this movie for the first time and you're like, fuck. Obviously, it's still out there, and you know that because there's still, you know, an hour and a half left to go in the movie. But it's just, you know, in the actual narrative, it's like, shit, you know? So great. Frank Riker says, I live in New Jersey where the shark attacks happen to base these books on. Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah, a lot of shark attacks out there. A lot of shark attacks in Southern California as well. And in Australia, off the coast of Australia, where they shot the real shark footage that you see in this movie. Because there actually is real shark footage in this movie that is mixed in with the mechanical shark. When they're out on the Orca, way out at sea, and Matt Hooper is in the cage, and he's trying to, you know, poke the shark or whatever. They mix real footage of an actual great white shark, and I believe that was shot off the coast of Australia. It's a cesspool of great white sharks out there. This might be the most iconic slap in history. It was great. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I mean, you can't blame him directly because obviously he tried to get it closed. I love when Larry Vaughn comes up. I'm sorry, Martin. She's wrong. No, she's not. No, she's not. She's not wrong. Fuck you, Larry. No, he doesn't say that. But he does say, no, she's not. Again, you see her husband behind her. God, they look old to be Alex's parents. They look like they should be his grandparents. And that's, unless that's this woman's father. They look very old to be his parents. Maybe he was adopted. We'll go with that. No, she's not. But I remember watching this on VHS, and when I watched it on, widescreen for the first time, well, it was widescreen, you saw so much more. That was like so fun. And I remember when I worked at a video store years ago, I had to explain to people that they were like, do you have a full screen copy? I'm like, no, all we have is widescreen left. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, no, but you should rent the widescreen because you get more, like you see more. Well, no, there's a black bar on top and bottom of the screen. I want that out of there. And I'm like, no, you actually see more. This is one of the most important scenes in the entire film. This scene, and I'm talking about the whole scene, not just the little cute moment he has with Sean, which is cute. But this entire scene, starting with this, ending when Matt Hooper comes over with the wine and they talk about the shark and things like that. This is so important because what's happening here is you're building that you're nurturing that character development. You're seeing him as a father. You're seeing him as a husband. You're seeing him as a good father and a good husband. And you're seeing him, the relationship that he has with his son. Okay. Now, obviously, his other son is not there, but it would be left to assume that if he has this kind of relationship with his youngest, he probably has this kind of relationship with his other son as well. So that moment was really nice. It's one of the most important scenes in the movie because it allows you as the viewer to build that empathy. So you start to care more about this man because he is our main protagonist. Despite the fact that we have Matt Hooper and we have Quint, Chief Brody is our main protagonist, especially when he goes out on, into the ocean. So we care more about him. We care about what happens to him. And you don't necessarily think about these things consciously when you're watching the movie, but that's what's happening to you. It's so important. And of course, Matt Hooper comes over and you see the extension of their relationship build as well. Because obviously, spoiler alert, in case you go, maybe I don't know if anybody in this room hasn't seen it, so I don't want to spoil anything. But this is this whole thing is important. One of the most important scenes in the movie. Because if you don't care about what happens to these characters, you don't care, right? This is humanizing them here. You see them, he brought over some wine, you see their personalities, you care about them. I mean, you cared about them before, but now you really start to care about them. You see, he's kind of quirky. Is anybody going to finish that? I mean, have you ever gone over to somebody's house? Somebody you've hardly known. You see food there. Hey, are you going to finish that? That's what he just did. I would love to shoot this scene. I love scenes like this. Building character, conversation, chemistry between the characters really helps you feel and get attached and get emotionally attached to them. For sure. Yeah, is anyone eating this? That's basically me when I go to somebody's house. Oh, it is it? Okay. Well, maybe, yeah, but do you know them? Maybe you don't. Maybe Chris doesn't. Hey, man, you eating that? Who the hell are you? I'm just some guy gonna eat your food, man. Oh, where am I here? There we go. I'm trying to get back to where I was. Look how much wine he's pouring. When you pour yourself wine, do you pour yourself like a glass you'd pour yourself orange juice in? There you go.
You're going to be the only rational man left on this island after I leave tomorrow. I'm going on the Aurora.
The Aurora.
It's a floating asylum.
I usually know them. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, can you imagine if I went over to your place? I don't know who you are. And I'm like, hey, you going to finish that? It's your leftover dinner. You going to finish that? So great. Tabitha Short. He took the whole bottle of wine to himself. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's like. Hey, you should go. And this is important too. It's a long scene.
That's right. Now this shark that swims along, this guy, he keeps swimming around a place where the feeding is good.
It's a long scene. Remember, the scene started with him having a cute moment with his son. It's got to be over 5 minutes, this scene. At least it feels like it. Tabitha Short says a splash of you and a splash for you. That's right. Chris Manley says, hey, Dave, if you come over, I'd let you finish my food. You're a good guy. Oh, great. Oh, that's good. That's good. So this, of course, I'm at the scene now where they're cutting over the tiger shark on the dock because obviously they want to, according to Matt Hooper, of course, he says, you know, whatever he's eaten is bound to be in there because the digestive tract of this animal is quite slow. So essentially, we want to cut him open, and we're gonna. If he did eat the boy, well, we're gonna know. But then at least we'll be sure. And this is so great. Like, what's so great about this is that, like, today we'd see it. We'd see the shark open up. We'd see all the crap. You're not seeing anything. You're just seeing him. It's so much more effective. It really is. It's so much more effective. Theater of the mind. And that's it. It's so great. Think of that. That's a 20-footer. 25. 3 tons on him. That comes later. 25-footer, too. Yeah, jeez. Michael Martinez says, hey, Dave, what do you got in the fridge? In my fridge? Oh, I don't know what's in my fridge. I think I need to do some grocery shopping. Yes, you can. And this... Was this not shot... Like, it looks like they're out in the ocean, and they're not. It was shot in, like, a little pond or something? Or if maybe somebody can chime in and know. It was something like that. Like, they didn't... For this scene, they didn't go far. I like this scene, because this is the scene, of course, when Matt Hooper goes off into the water. He finds the that other boat. Rich Moore, I'm not drunk enough to go out on the boat. Yes, you are. Yeah, because remember, Roy Scheider's character of Chief Brody is afraid of the water. He doesn't like the water. He's afraid of drowning. I love the fact that they have the life raft on it. The life vest on him. And they don't have the life vest on Matt Hooper, right? It shows that extra precaution. You know, he's being a little, you know, maybe a little overkill, right? I love that line. Well, it doesn't make much sense for somebody who's afraid of the water to live on an island. It's only an island if you look at it from the water. It's like, that's true. When you're on an island, it doesn't look like an island because you can't see both sides at once, unless it's a really tiny island. I like that line. Yeah, I've always liked that line. There's a lot of good lines in this movie. Oh, I'm squeaking. My chair's beginning to squeak. Rich Moore says, I never learned how to swim, not a water lover. Oh, really? Oh, well, that's all right. I mean, you did he say that, or are you talking about you? I don't think he said that. David Ferguson says, I took my 11-year-old son to see Jaws at the local cinema a few months ago. Oh, very cool. They did a one-off showing. Got to admit, I had a chuckle seeing him jump out of his skin when the head comes out of the boat. That's right. Yeah, that's coming up. About you. Oh, okay, Rich. Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't learn to swim until I was about 12, 11 or 12. I was a bit older. I was always afraid to go under the water as a child. So yeah, I didn't learn to swim until later. But this, I'm positive. I got to watch the director's commentary again, but I'm almost positive this scene was shot in like not a pool, but like maybe a pond on the back lot of Universal or something, or like it wasn't out on the open water, which they did eventually go out and do. Obviously, they did shoot out in the open water, but this scene was not, even though it's supposed to be. I'm 48 now, so I'll stay on land. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I will say, knowing how to swim definitely is one of those skills that is good to know, for sure. But certainly you could live your whole life and not need it. Chris Manley, 1994, says, I still can't swim myself. Oh, okay, very cool. I've been told it's mostly because my cerebral palsy, but who am I kidding? It was this film. Well, yeah, this film definitely scared a lot of people, for sure. Yep. It did. It did. In 1975. Like, you have to remember, too, you know, movies back then, they weren't coming out at the volume they're coming out now. And this kind of a movie was not coming out at the volume that they come out now. Like, you've heard me say this ad nauseum, you know, but it's true. Blockbusters, like an event, like feeling like it's an event, you know, were once, maybe twice a summer, if that, after Jaws. Look at the size of this tooth he picks out. He's got a fucking Rambo knife, too. Jesus. Look at that. Here comes Ben Gardner. Here he comes. That's great. Nice little scare. Love it. Love it. But yeah, I mean, this was like they didn't happen. This was an event. Like, remember when The Force Awakens was coming out, right? Remember the feeling surrounding The Force Awakens. That's what it was for Jaws in 1975, but there was no other movie that necessarily would have done that. I mean, imagine feeling that. It was like, holy shit, like, have you seen this new big movie that's coming out? Wow. You know, have you seen that movie? Wow. I mean, look at the movies that are coming out next year. There's like 30 blockbusters that are coming out next year. You barely breathe. It's like they're every weekend practically now. This is a great line. The size of a shot glass. The tooth of a great white. Great character work here. I had an accident. This is so great because obviously Larry is Larry knows. This is the thing. It's not that Larry doesn't know. He knows that there is a shark problem. He does. He knows. But he's pretending to be naive and stupid because he wants the summer dollars. He doesn't want to say that we have to close the beaches because he wants the tourism. But he's playing it up like, no, it was a boating accident. We're fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, maybe he's lying to himself to the point where he's convinced himself that he really believes that. But deep down inside, in his gut, he knows that the probability factor of what Martin and Matt are saying is likely. It's great. Great. Frank Riker says, hey, Dave, do you have any of Larry's suits? No. But wouldn't that be a great Halloween costume? And the thing is that nobody, I mean, hardcore Jaws fans would know, movie fans might, but the average person would not know why I was wearing that. I'm the mayor of Amityville. I might look into that. That'd be a fun, because it's so simple. You could totally get that. The suit jacket would be the toughest to find. That'd be fun, though. That'd be fun. David Ferguson says, every time I swim in the sea, I hear the bloody tune going through my head. Well, I was just out in California, and I was in the ocean, and I thought of it. We were standing on the beach, and my girlfriend and I, she pointed it out because she saw it first. We saw like this fin way off in the distance, and we're like, what the? But we actually thought we think it was whales, killer whales, which you don't want to get too close to either. But they were, I would say, maybe 100 yards off the coast, not that far, you know. And at first we thought it might have been a shark, but then we saw it come up, and we saw like the, from the blowhole. So that was really cool. That was really cool to actually see that. We could see like the sun glistening off its back as it came out of the water. It was really neat. That was my first time actually seeing something like that in its natural habitat. It was really, really cool. It's natural environment. So now I'm at the scene here where the 4th of July weekend has arrived. And you see all the tourists coming in, and look at these station wagons. It's like the station wagons from Vacation. This transfer is so great. Like, it almost looks like I'm watching a period piece, a movie that was shot today. But the transfer is so good. The production, like the quality looks like almost like I'm watching a period piece. Like Spielberg shot this last year, but of course, he brought in all the old cars and things like that. That's almost what it looks like. Yeah, if you guys get a chance to watch Jaws on Blu-ray, I highly recommend it for that alone. Now, the author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, makes a cameo appearance here as a TV reporter. So I don't know if and you guys know that, but he does. He'll be coming up shortly. I'll let you know. Not that guy with the microphone there. He talks to the actual camera. I'll let you know when he's on the screen. Well, you'll know when he's on the screen because he's the only reporter that's talking to the camera. So, but that's kind of cool. Not a lot of people know that that's actually Peter Benchley, the author of the novel, because obviously the novel came out before the movie. There he is. That's Peter Benchley. There you go. The guy who created Jaws. And his little sister Gums. No. So obviously they've decided to split the difference, right? So, okay, so they're going to have the beaches open, but we're going to have some major security out there. But of course, Larry Vaughn is like, why is nobody going into the water? Nobody's going to the water. So he comes up to this old couple and he's like, yeah, can you go in the water, please? You know, you need to go in the water. Nobody's having fun. Nobody's going in the water. He wants people to go in the water. So it shows everybody, no, there's nothing to worry about. Everything's cool. It shows the TV networks that everything's cool. Everything's fine. You know. Because it's a weekend thing, right? And if people at home can see that everybody's in the water and stuff. Maybe people decide, oh, well, we didn't want to go up Friday because we were a little worried, but you know what? Maybe we'll go up Saturday. Now, remember what I said at the beginning of this stream, that the Jaws theme, the iconic Jaws theme, it was a creative choice to only play it when the actual shark was around. Well, in a few moments here, mayhem is going to happen, but the theme is not there. And that's a tip-off. You don't notice it. I mean, if you're watching this movie for the first time, you wouldn't notice it necessarily. But when you watch it again over the course of the years, you pick up on those patterns. You go, oh, that's interesting. That's cool, you know, to look at that and see how they implemented that. And our first real look at Jaws, the shark, is coming up very soon. And we're 58 minutes into this movie. We are 58 minutes into this movie, and we still have not seen the shark. I mean, we've seen it. We saw the big fins and the blood, but we haven't seen the shark. 58 minutes, an hour into the movie. Impressive. And the movie is so well paced and so interesting, and the suspense and that build is so well done, and the characters are so likable and interesting that you don't even notice it. You know, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's really, really well done, for sure. And this is the movie that put Spielberg on the map. Now, he also did the Sugarland Express, and of course he did the TV movie Duel, which was his first big break. But this was the movie that just shot him to the next level. I mean, this is shot him into this stratosphere of the Spielberg we know today. He changed cinema with this movie. That's what happened. He changed the history of motion pictures with this movie. Now, if you look closely beyond, you see the fin there? This is pretty cool. So we see, now the camera's underwater, right? Seeing all the people swimming, but you don't hear the theme. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, Larry Vaughn, what's his name? Murray Hamilton. He's dead now. He's been dead since the 80s, actually. So here we have this fin that's coming up beside these two women. There's no music, right? Just screaming. Right? No music, no bump, 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 nothing. But mayhem is beginning to break loose. Now, again, if you're watching this in 1975, I mean, you'd be like, what's going on, right? Tabitha Short says, everybody is going to hate that mayor guy after people start dying. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They do. They do. Chris Manley, 1994, says, Larry had crossed a lot of lines, but when he essentially caused the attack on the chief's son, that was the biggest line he crossed. Yeah, yep. That was one. Well, now it was irrefutable because of all the witnesses, right? And they had witnesses before, but they have witnesses again. You know, so now he can no longer hide the fact that they caught the wrong shark, is what I meant. I love how they show people being trampled on. That's great, too. That's a nice little subtle detail that shows the commotion and the intensity of everybody leaving the water at once, showing, a few people kind of getting trampled on, like a Black Christmas busting into Best Buy or something. Of course, we see the shark fin. We see it pop up. We realize it's just a bunch of kids. He made me do it. He talked me into it. That was a great shot. Okay, now listen, right? Now we'll cut from this over to that girl that's on the beach, and she's like, shark, shark, because she thinks she sees something. And listen. Now you hear the theme come in. Right? Very slowly. And Chief Brody's like, oh, God, now what? And then, of course, his wife, Michael's in the pond. This is a cool shot. We see Chief Brody walking amongst the people in the foreground, and then it cuts, and watch how long the shark is there. You see that? It goes underneath the water, but you see how long it was? It's like, what the fuck was that? Shit! You know? This is great. And of course now the theme is there. That's a mechanical shark, guys. That's not CGI. That's under that water. It looks look at the fin coming. That looks beautiful. Looks great. Not that they couldn't CGI a fin like that today and have it look fine. Now watch. Here's our first look at the shark. Right there. Look at that. And we hardly see him. We hardly see him. We're what? We're an hour and 3 minutes. We're 63 minutes into the movie. Ah, there we go. Then we see him a bit more, right? And we see this leg just fall. It's so good. I love it. That shark looked real to me. It looked, to me, looking at that, I was like, that looks like a real shark that just fucking tore that guy's leg off. That looked fantastic. Now, I can only speak for myself, but I believe that, especially that shot, there's other shots that may not, but that looks fantastic and looks better than any CGI shark that has ever been produced today, in my opinion. Looked great. Looked great. And that's how they had to utilize the shark in a lot of cases because of a lot of the issues they were having. Rich Moore says, I got chills the first time seeing that. Yeah, because it's like, whoa, shit. Because you're an hour into the movie. So there's been this building of this suspense that you've been waiting to see. And then you see the shark and you're like, fuck, that's big. Oh, shit. Now shit just got real. Like, okay. Right? And that's it, though. Right? Spielberg didn't push it on us. It wasn't excessive. Just that one little moment you see it under the water, and then you see him kind of there. Oh, it was so good. It's so good. It's so great. Of course, the cat's out of the bag now, and Larry Vaughn has to actually sign the papers to get Quint to kill the shark. David Ferguson says the famous leg scene is coming. Oh, sorry, David. I missed that. Yeah, it looks great. It looks like a real leg that kind of just falls. It looks fantastic. Chris Manley, 1994 says, when I first saw this, I thought these pranksters would be the ones who get attacked. Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that. Plot twist. They're at Haddonfield Memorial here. No. I'm just kidding. One of the nurses from Halloween 2 comes in. That'd be hilarious. Look at this mayor now. Now he's all like, he can't even make eye contact with the chief. He's embarrassed. And so he should be. Because he knew all along that the shark was still out there. He had a professional telling him that in Matt Hooper, the marine biologist. I think he's a marine biologist. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what he is. Anyway, shark expert. Okay, let's say he's a shark expert for sure. Larry knew. He knew. You hear that? Yeah, I was acting in the town. No, you weren't acting in the town. Well, you might have been acting from a financial perspective, yes. But you certainly didn't care about keeping your your townspeople safe. Frank Riker it's a real Amityville horror in this town. Yeah, exactly. My kids were on that beach too. So what's your fucking point? Your kids were on that beach too? Okay. Well, then you should be extra ashamed of yourself then. Because then what if your kids decided to go in the water? And what if they were killed? You're a fucking idiot, Larry. Are you supposed to, is that supposed to make me feel sorry for you? Get out. I always thought that. I was like, and? Here's to drinking with boat-legged women. Or what does he say? Here's to swimming. Here's to swimming with bone-legged women. He played this role so well. And Robert Shaw, Quint, and Richard Dreyfuss, they didn't get along off set. I mean, Richard Dreyfuss today will say that he loved the guy. But I think Robert Shaw teased him a lot off camera. But it was the kind of teasing where it's like your older brother teasing you, and you're kind of like, okay, fuck off. Like, okay, fuck off. Like it's I don't know, it's a guy thing or something or whatever. And it was kind of like, fuck off. But I think they grew on each other. But Robert Shaw, there was many occasions where he would show up to the set drunk. I don't mean drunk like, I don't mean like that, but clearly you could smell the alcohol on his breath. He struggled with alcohol in his life. Yeah, farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Yeah, he always had something he was saying. Burgers. This is like their real relationship off camera. According to Richard Dreyfuss, of course, and a few other people. Rich Moore says, I think the off-camera teasing lent to the... I think it probably did too. Yeah, I think it did. There's a lot... What was that other thing I was thinking about? There was something else I just recently watched that was like that. Damn, I forget what it was. Some other thing I was reading about not long ago. Hey, Darren! Darren is in the house. Hey, Darren, what's going on? I'm really glad you could join us, considering it's very late there. We're about an hour and a bit in. We're at the scene where Quint, Matt Hooper, and Chief Brody are standing in Quint's little shop there, getting ready to go out onto the Orca. All right, but I'm captain. My vessel, my ship. I'm in charge. The only thing missing from Robert Shaw's performance is a arr. Darren says, just back from a Def Leppard tribute concert. Oh, cool. Jeff Leppard. That's awesome. I love that. Jeff Leppard. That's great. Very cool. I'll have to look them up. We were just, I was just talking about how Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw didn't get along very well off camera, and but how Richard Dreyfuss over the years has said that he grew to really like the guy, and it was he felt real not remorse, but sadness when he passed away only 3 years after the making of this film. Oh, they did hate each other for sure. Yep. But what's so great as who was it that said this? Was it Rich or Frank? Oh, sorry, Rich or maybe it was Frank. I can't remember who said this now. It's just up there. Anyways, but it was a good point. It probably helped with their characters as well, because their characters are supposed to have some animosity towards each other, right? It's like Quint is that big brother teasing, like, a little, the little brother, and the little brother's like, fuck off. Stop patronizing me. Stop being so pretentious and condescending. Fuck off. I know what I'm talking about. I might be younger than you, but I know what I'm talking about. I'm a professional. It really helped in that dynamic. But yeah, no, they did. But they grew. I know they grew on each other, or he did on Richard Dreyfuss. And I know that since that time, he said that he actually grew to like the guy. But definitely, they did not. You're absolutely right. There was some. They didn't like each other. I think I got the sense by what Richard Dreyfuss was saying, it was more that he didn't like Quint, or he didn't like Robert. Robert didn't care for him, but he was teasing him a lot, right? Richard Dreyfuss does seem like the kind of guy that would be very easy to get under his skin. David Ferguson says, the scenes later in the film when they are sitting around the table were all spontaneous. Robert Shaw was drunk for real in that scene. Yes. Yes. Well, there was a blueprint of sort of what they wanted to do, but there was a lot of off-script improv in that scene. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and he showed up to the set all the time with alcohol in his breath. I love seeing her, his wife, which is the last time we see her in this movie, running from the dock because she can't stand watching her husband leave. It's because she, deep down inside, believes that she might be watching him go to his death. I really like that. I thought instead of just walking away, she runs away. She runs down the dock. And that is the last time we see her in this movie. So if they shot this in chronological order, which they probably didn't, but if that was the last thing they shot of her role, I could see them saying, okay, that's it. You're done. One more thing to do. That's it. No more. You're going to need a bigger boat. That was a line that was not in the script. If I'm correct, I believe. Darren says, I remember a Dreyfuss anecdote about the scene where Quint is in the chair and screams, "Who are you, idiot?" Oh, yeah. I know. He loved, because, I mean, Richard Dreyfuss does seem like the kind of guy that you can, like I said, you could, and he was teasing the hell out of him. He was teasing because he knew he could. It was like I said earlier before you popped on, it was like that older brother, younger brother thing where, but I mean, it was a little more than that, but it was like that kind of, Robert Shaw didn't care. This is great. I love the crumpling of the styrofoam cup. And what's so great about that is it's very, I don't know if it just happened to be like that, but it's a great sort of metaphor to their relationship. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like he's, the older guy crushing the can. He's the younger guy crushing the little styrofoam cup, but wants to be, taken, seriously. I love that. It's so funny. It's almost, it's like their real life relationship shooting this movie. He is the beer can and he is the styrofoam cup, right? It's just so funny. Oh, I didn't know that. Apparently Shaw was so poorly from the booze that he couldn't even move. That outburst was the only line he could shout that day. I know they had a lot of problems with him. I'd have to look that up if that's true. That's funny. It's the only thing. Imagine that. Okay, come on. Action. Oh my, you idiots! God. Great. Now get this ass out of here. Oh, that'd be so great. I love this. I love how he's sitting on the boat. Robert Shaw was a great actor. Brilliant. He was great. Loved him in The Sting, too. He was great in The Sting. But yeah, you just see that thing. You just see the line moving, and you can see the intensity on his face. He's watching very carefully. I love how he puts, the straps on, like, all right, I'm gonna fucking do this, And all the other characters. The other two characters are doing their own thing, not necessarily paying attention. Quint's on it, right? Because he's the guy. He's the shark guy. And listen to the soundtrack. Listen to the music. Very subtle. Building that, what's going on here? All right. And you hear the waves in the background very gently. And that little creaking of that board, right? And he's sitting there, and it's just, it's great. Really nicely paced. Really nicely paced.
Hey! I got it! What? Get behind me!
Every time I hear Quint yell now, I'm gonna think he's just lying. He's lying after a bender on the boat. So great. Darren says, does anyone else get bored of Dreyfus' anecdote about the shark is not working? Yeah, I've seen him say that a couple of times. More than a couple of times. But it's funny, you know, I've been interviewed a few times about Halloween, and I find myself, I mean, I'm not on any platforms that he's on, but where millions of people are seeing it. But I get it. I get that if you go on, like I've watched late night shows where they'll have like, you know, say they'll have some actor on and they'll be on Kimmel, or back in the day it was, you know, Carson or Leno, Letterman. And if you watch them, because they'll make the late night rounds in like a week or over the course of a couple of weeks because of the promotion for whatever film is coming out. And although the questions are scripted beforehand, and generally speaking, they know what questions they're going to be asked, I've watched, like, I think there was one time, and this is more common than you'd think, as you probably know, you could watch like Leno one night, Letterman a couple days later, Kimmel, and you'd see like the same person tell the same story. You know, it's for a different audience, it's for a different medium, but I totally agree with what you're saying. If I'm the only audience member, I feel like it's my grandmother telling me a story that I've heard 900 times, right? But then you got to think, well, I guess, you know, some people might not have heard it. Could be one's for the Blu-ray, one's for the DVD, one's for the 4K, one's some interview he's done on Skype, you know. But am I sick of hearing it? Yes. Frank Riker says Dreyfus really was sad when Robert died and cried when he met his granddaughter. He died too soon. Yeah, oh, he was. He was. Yeah, it was definitely a hate relationship that grew into a love-hate. No, I don't know if a love-hate relationship, but definitely a like-hate relationship. He appreciated him more after the fact. He was a very talented actor. And he died 1970. He died only 3 years after this movie was made. He had issues, for sure. And this would have been so... I mean, let's not forget, this was actually shot out in the open water. Now, it wasn't shot, 800 miles out in the open water, but it was shot, it's not a backdrop. I mean, they are legitimately out there. Today you could do this in a studio. Not saying you should, I'm just saying that I have a great appreciation for the technical aspects of making this movie and how well it turned out. Considering they went way over budget, the production was literally like this far away from being pulled at one point, which was ridiculous if you think about it. But the budget began to balloon, and of course the shark wasn't working, and which is, as we said, was the primary reason why they had to resort to theater of the mind, which worked in their favor. But when I watch it and I go, I mean, it wasn't just released. It became the highest grossing movie in motion picture history. It became an instant classic, until Star Wars in terms of highest grossing until 3 years later, or 2 years later, when Star Wars came out. Gonna need a bigger boat. Iconic line coming up. Yep. Oh yeah, I love it. Because I believe it was improvised. This is a great shot of Quint up in the bird's nest, as they say. I think that's what it's called, the bird's nest. And then the shot from up there, looking down, and seeing Hooper playing solitaire. It looks like he's playing solitaire. And then the other side, seeing the chief. It's such a great shot. Gives sort of that perspective. Yeah, they're really up there. They're really out there. You see the flag above Quint blowing like this, so it's windy up there. It's so great that they have him playing solitaire. This is what his character would do. A nerdy little marine biologist playing solitaire on a boat. Another euphemism for him. He's lonely, he's single. He's playing solitaire. Here it comes. Now watch the shark when it comes out of the water. Watch this. Looks great to me. I still believe to this day that holds up. I think it looks fine. It looks great. It looks way better than any CGI shark. And you notice he's not making eye contact with Quint when he says that. When I used to watch this movie on VHS, I used to think he was looking at Quint because you didn't see Quint in the frame when you used to watch it on like a 4:3 screen. Hang on. Listen to this.
Shut off that engine.
Listen to the theme here. This is the best part. Ah, it's so great. It's so great. And that's a fake mechanical shark coming towards the boat and going underneath. It's so great. It's so well done. Now, when they look over the boat here, look at this. It looks great to me. I mean, I'm not a shark expert. I'm not out on the water watching a lot of these things, but I still think it holds up. You know, are there certain things about the shark, especially when it's attacking Quint, you know, on the boat? Sure. Yes, for sure. But for the vast majority of this movie, in my opinion, I think it still holds up. And it's better than any CGI. I can't stand watching shark movies today because the CGI shark, they do things that just sharks don't do. And the way they look, and it's too digital. I just don't like the way it holds up. But what I was going to say back to the you're going to need a bigger boat was when you used to watch it on VHS before it came out on widescreen, he would turn to the camera and it looks like he's looking at Quint when he's saying that. Well, if you actually watch it, he's not looking at Quint. Quint is in the lower frame down to the bottom right of the screen. It shows that he's got his cigarette in his mouth. I think he's got his, yeah, I think he does. And you could see that he's so taken back by it. He just looks out the window. He's not really there. Like, he's just kind of thinking. He knows Quint is in the room, and he just kind of looks out and says it, but he's not making eye contact with Quint or looking at Quint. That's great. That's a great performance. I don't know if Spielberg directed Roy Scheider to do that, or if that was an instinctual thing that Scheider did, not to look at Quint when he said it, but it was great. It was great. That subtle detail was really, really nice because it shows that the character is really taken back by this moment, right? He knows that Quint's there, but he's really taken back by it. So he's not looking at him. He's just like, dude, fuck. He's looking out the window like, are we going to be okay? It's great. Great. Those subtle things are fantastic. Chris Manley, 1994, says, I love Hooper pulling tongues at Quint here. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I like that too. So good. David Ferguson says, I thought The Meg was shit compared to Jaws. I can't stand those CGI shark movies. I haven't seen The Meg. I'll probably see it when it comes to Netflix, but I haven't seen it. But I did see, you know, Deep Blue Sea. I did see The Shallows. I did see 47 Meters Down, I think it was, whatever. They're fine films, but every time the shark's on screen, I'm like, it just doesn't. Look at this shot. This is a great shot. Behind Quint as he's rocking in the water and you see the shark coming up. Like, look at that. That looks... Like, go look at great white sharks on YouTube. In the water, in the ocean. And look at this. Yeah. But, as I said at the beginning of the stream, because they did have a lot of problems, it was a very smart, creative choice to utilize these barrels to show where the shark is, because then they don't have to use the shark. Like what they did at the beginning of the movie with the dock. When the dock broke apart, right, they were using the dock, right? Which was smart. You've seen the shark now. You know that when this pops up, you know, that's the shark. Or when it's moving in the water and it's chasing the orca and things like that, like towards the end of the movie when all three of them are chasing the orca, you don't even need the shark. Like I said, the shark's probably in the shop getting, you know, and they're like, it's fine, we don't need it now. You know, we'll just use the barrels. And the suspense is fantastic. And the idea to have the shark pull that barrel under the water and then pull 2 barrels under and then 3 barrels under. You know, I love that line from Quint. He says something like, he's not going down with 3. Not with 3, he ain't. Or something like that. He's very piratey. And he does. I love that projection of that shows you the power, that illustration of the power of this shark. I love this shot too of the orca on the water in the distance. Here comes this awesome scene that everybody loves. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and it got right to my head. Wherever I may go, land or sea or home. And of course they get interrupted, right? Darren says, I had drinks with Dreyfuss in Ireland about 4 years ago during a junket. Awesome. I have to say, Mr. and Mrs. Dreyfuss were quite something. It was an interesting evening, to say the least. Oh, I bet it was. I bet it was. I haven't met Richard Dreyfuss, but I did get an opportunity to see him at Fan Expo here in Toronto. And yeah, he seems like a very interesting guy. Very interesting guy. And talented. Very talented actor. His wife is, isn't his wife, is she like Czechoslovakian or something? Or, I know I'm wrong on that, but she's not, I don't think she's American though, right? I love this. I love how they're comparing. Like, their relationship in this movie is very much their relationship. I mean, to a point. Because obviously they are playing characters here, and they might like each other a little more. But the animosity you see between their characters was pretty legit. And Robert Shaw, yeah, story goes, he is legitimately inebriated here. And of course you got Martin Brody, the square one. Martin Brody is the Laurie Strode of this movie. And these two are Annie and Linda, right? He's the square one. No. I don't want to get into it. I'm just going to stand over here. Darren says his wife is pretty full on American? I thought she was something else. I could have sworn she was from another country. But I stand to be corrected. On to my second bottle of vodka here. No, water. Mother. Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's great. Oh, 1 second here. Lost my spot. There we go. Now, of course, this is where Quint goes into his great story about the Indianapolis, which many people, this was almost your Jaws 2. Now, I believe there's a Nicolas Cage movie now that went straight to Netflix or to DVD or something that is this story, or somewhat this story. I think it was Nicolas Cage. I never saw it, but... Oh, full on meaning forward and open, perhaps too open. Ah, all right. Gotcha. It's a great speech. And I believe most of this was improvised. I think. I don't know how many times they shot this, but some of it might have been improvised. And they might have used a couple of different takes to splice it together. See, what's so great about watching movies in their original format, like, again, when you'd watch this movie in its 4:3 format on VHS and you'd watch this scene, you'd only see Quint, which is fine. You could argue and say, well, yeah, but the intimacy of seeing Quint like this as he tells this story is really nice. Fair enough. But when you watch it in its original intended format, you can actually see Matt Hooper in the background, blurred out slightly, watching with such intensity and interest as Quint tells this story. And his performance, even though he's not speaking, Richard Dreyfuss' performance in the background, just looking at him with intensity, curiosity, and awe, is just as important as Quint's performance here. It's fantastic. Look how stagnant he is, just focused on him. But every now and then you see his eyes blink, and you see him. He's just sitting there going, "Shit, wow, it's great. I love it. It's so good." Chris Manley says, I heard a story that Spielberg and Shaw wrote this speech together, or at least a rough draft that Shaw showed up and hit a home run. Okay, yeah, I think you are right. Yeah, because I think there was something else that he was... Wasn't there something else that... Or there were a couple of ideas that they were going to go with of what he was going to say here. And this is what they came up with. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I got to brush up on that. Yeah, the way he looks like now, like you can see, Matt Hooper's really invested in this, like shit. And of course, everybody's had, well, I don't know if Chief Brody has, but Matt Hooper's had a few to drink, so he's in that stage where he's like, wow, man, you know what I mean? But yeah, there is a Nicolas Cage movie that is the story that Quint is telling here, essentially. And this story that Quint is telling was almost, I believe it was almost the sequel to Jaws, as like a prequel or something like that or whatever. That's right. David Ferguson says you see a shooting star anytime now. Yeah, you see it after the whole kerfuffle with the shark. Oh, my cat is meowing. If you see the door open behind me, my cat might come in. I love this. This is great. Show me the way to go home. Yeah, that's right. Chris Manley says, is it really a good idea to get drunk when you've got a great white shark around? This is a great... You see, do you remember earlier in the film where I said that one of the most important scenes in the movie is the scene that begins with Chief Brody's son and him and continues when Matt comes over and the bottle of wine. This is just as important, but for a different reason. That whole scene there, it took the next step in the camaraderie. They've bonded. They've become one, right? So the next step in the camaraderie and in the chemistry between the characters has now gone to another level, right? It's like almost like an initiation thing, you know, and now they're over and they feel more comfortable with each other now. Their characters are still the same. They still have their same quirks, but there was this almost like this scene acted out as like an initiation kind of thing, you know, like, okay, we've gone to camp, we feel a little more comfortable now with each other. Great scene. But David Ferguson is right. That shooting star is coming up here in a moment. Yeah, see, it goes to show you that I love when the lighting goes out here. Here's some great low-key lighting. Watch this. Stepping up into frame with their silhouettes and just the ocean. That's great shit. It's good stuff. See? And you don't need the shark here. You don't need it at all. You don't need it at all. Now, obviously, you do need the shark again at some point in the movie. But during this scene, you've established that the shark is there. You've established that this barrel is attached to the shark. And so this helps bring in some interesting suspense and anticipation. There goes the shooting star. There's actually two shooting stars. There's one that just went by there, and there'll be another one here you'll see come across. There you go. Very cool. Very cool. Not real, but very cool. Darren says, if Jaws were to be made now, who would be cast? Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah. Comment in the chat room, folks. Who would you cast now? Who would you cast as Roy Scheider? Who would you cast as Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss? Those three main guys. Who would you cast as the mayor? Chris Pratt. Oh, no offense, Chris. I can't stand Chris Pratt. When I say I can't stand Chris Pratt, I mean that I can't stand the assumption that he's good for everything. You know, people, I think he should be Indiana Jones. No. I think he should be, no. He's too jockey. He's too boyish, you know? I think it just, yeah. In my opinion, I wouldn't look at Chris Pratt. But that's me. Liam Neeson as Quint. Yeah, Liam Neeson, he would be older than... how old is Robert Shaw here in this movie? Probably in his late 40s, early 50s, maybe. Robert Shaw died. He was quite young when he died. Robert Shaw... Okay, he was 51 when he died. So, yeah, he was in his late 40s here. So, now Liam Neeson is in his, like, mid-60s. So Liam Neeson would be a lot older. Look at that. There's the shark. And look, some people might look at that and go, oh, it looks kind of... I still think it looks actually kind of good. I would rather watch that, the shark coming out of the water there completely unexpectedly, than the CGI shit. I don't call me crazy. I still think it looks good. Oh, my cat is coming in. If you hear meowing, that is just my cat. She's coming in. Yeah, you're meowing. We're watching Jaws. You want to come up? You want to say hi to Team McRage and Level 2? Come on up. You're a Halloween cat. You better get up here. No, she's got her back to me. She's pissed. I love that Brody's losing it now. Like, yeah, it looks great. I'm so impressed that despite the problems they had, they were able to pull off, in 1975, a mechanical shark in water, real water, and getting shots like that. I love that shot. Watching him walk out on the thing and... Like, look at that. So great. Chris Manley says, how about David Harbour? I mean, his character from Jim Hopper is just Brody. I would look at him over Chris Pratt. Yeah. I think you're moving in the right direction. I don't know if I would land on him and end with him if I was doing casting, but definitely you're heading more in the right direction for me anyway. But you got to be you. Darren asked, who would you cast? And if you would cast Chris Pratt as Brody, then that's who you'd cast as Brody. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anybody else wants to chime in there. That's a good question. Oh, David Ferguson says, got my cat sitting next to me too. Cool. Hey, there's a cat. David Ferguson's got a cat sitting next to him. Why don't you come up here and be, and say hi and stop being antisocial? Yeah, come here. No. All right, fine, don't. She's persnickety. She hears me talking in here, and she's obviously wondering, who the fuck are you talking to? You've been talking for like an hour and a half. Who the hell are you talking to? And I believe what's so great about this, too, I believe they shot this... I'm trying to remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody legitimately knows. I think they shot this not so far off the coast that you couldn't see land. so they had to utilize the camera angles very carefully, because if they showed a 360, like they always had to have the land at their back, because this is supposed to be, 100 miles offshore or whatever it's supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be in the, like, completely, but I think that's what they had to do. I think, anyway. Chris Manley says, that's true. Spielberg wanted to create the feeling of isolation, not only for the cast, but for the audience, too. Yes, yeah, of course. But I think there was that, I don't think they're, I don't know how far they are off the coast. A couple football fields, like they're not that far. If you were to look in, like, behind them here over this way, you could see land. But they had to shoot this very carefully to give the illusion that you can't, or that they're in the middle of nowhere. They're more isolated than they appear, which is, so that in of itself is movie magic, camera angles. It's great. So that's cool too, because the shark goes down with 2 barrels. So it's like, fuck, 2 barrels. And they put 3 on him, and Quint, he's not going down with 3, and he goes down with 3. It's just insane. Darren says, my cat Mork is on my lap right now. Mork, that's a great name. Hey, Veda. Oh, no, she left. Excuse me, she left the room. Mork. Was it named Mork after Mork and Mindy? That's a great name for a cat. Mork. I love that. That's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I hear it.
Oh, my God. So this is the beginnings of when the orca starts to suffer from, begins to suffer from, yeah. Well, Quint doesn't listen to Hooper. He pushes the engine beyond its capacity, and it fucks up the engine, causes a flood in the lower deck, and that's it. Now when we look at the shark here, off of the distance, trying to bite through the rope, you could look at that and say, okay, look, I wouldn't go as far as to say fake, although that but you can now, like, now that we're older, now it's 2018, and that, we can look at this a little more objectively now and kind of go, yeah, I can kind of tell that it's, but call me crazy, it doesn't look bad. Like, how there's that thing, oh, the shark looks so fake. No, I think the CG sharks look so fake. This, okay, I could tell maybe it's animatronic. It's, maybe, but it's like looking at King Kong in the 1976 remake. 76 or 78? The one with Jessica Lange, right? Where it's clearly a guy in an ape suit. Well, it's a guy in an ape suit. But somehow it still looks really cool. And you buy it. And you can watch the movie without thinking it's a guy in an ape suit. But if you were to really look at it, you go, yeah, looks like a guy in an ape suit. But it's still done well enough then that you can get lost in it and go, it's a big fucking gorilla. That's how I feel about Jaws. When it comes to this part of the movie, when we start to see more of its nose and head out of the water and things like that, you can kind of go, yeah, but it still looks kind of good. Like, I would much rather watch this than any CG shark that makes a cut or comes out of the water that's just like, that looks so digital. Like, you know what I mean? Look at the Shallows trailer with Blake Lively. I think it's towards the end of the trailer, the shark comes out of the water or something like that or whatever, which great white sharks can do. But he comes out of the water and I'm just like, oh, fuck. I remember the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, damn, that they haven't mastered that yet. Fish and sharks and things like that, they still have not mastered. Robots and shit like that, like Transformers and metal and that kind of stuff, they've mastered. That shit looks real. 100%. But flesh and animals, no. I'd rather watch this, which I think it still looks all right. Darren says, in the book, didn't they also have that weird affair between Hooper and Ellen, almost pornographic in parts? There was an affair in the book. Yes, you are right. Was it Hooper and Ellen? I can't remember whether it went that far in its descriptive nature. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think there was some sort of affair. I think you're right. Michael Martinez says, hey, Dave, I can see you as Hooper. Oh, me as Hooper. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. I play Matt Hooper. Yeah, I could see me as Hooper. I could see me as Chief Brody, too. I could be Hooper. I don't know if I could. I mean, I could play Quint, but I don't know if I'm the right guy to play Quint. I think there'd be somebody else you'd want to bring in. But you're right. I could do Hooper. Yep. For sure. That'd be fun. And again, if you do, well, there you can see land. You can actually see land. And I think that's because somebody said land is in sight or something, or I'm going for the land or whatever. But that's actually really how far they've been off the coast the whole time shooting. But you're led to believe that they're just coming into that now, right? They've actually been way out there. I love when Hooper is trying to get... Yeah, there it is. Quint, goddamn it! It's gonna... That probably was some real... Fuck you! Yeah! Chris Manley says, we're headed in, Brody. Thank Christ. I always love that line, too. It's funny, ever since I was a kid, I remember being a kid in school, and I would look for situations where I could say, thank Christ. I think I still say thank Christ today. I do. I still say thank Christ today. That's so funny that I do that. That's probably because of that line. Michael Martinez says, did you know a lot of marine biologists say it is because Jaws they chose the field? I didn't know that, but I'm sure that's probably true for some. Just like Star Wars was a... Well, no, that would be for a lot of people that wanted to get into making movies, but this is great. So he's got 3 barrels, and he goes down with 3 barrels. And now your fucking ship is fucked, and you've got a flood. Hooper understands the gravitas of the situation. The gravity of the situation, I should say. The gravitas. He understands the gravity of the situation. And Quint does too. But Quint's got a big fucking fat ego that... Well, actually, no. In this moment, you see him pull back on his ego. And you see him, when he steps down here into the water, and he looks around, it's kind of like, shit. And then he sees the life vests, right? It's like, okay. And there's a great shot of the Orca, like, that's so great. Chief? It's so good. Darren says, I worked on The Shallows. The first cut I saw didn't even have a shark. It was hilarious watching Blake Lively screaming and thrashing the water to nothing. The CG was added in very late. Yeah, well, that would be the case, yeah. Certainly, I bet that would have been funny. Yeah, The Shallows, you know... Watching Blake Lively for an hour and a half is alright, I guess, but... I don't know. You got any better suggestions? And this is so great. Like, this is a shark cage. This cage is supposed to protect him from great white sharks. And it doesn't. This is what's cool about this scene coming up, like I said, towards the beginning of the broadcast, is some of shark, the real sharks that you see here, it was really cool that they spliced in video footage of actual great white sharks, and it matches up fine. Like, I totally buy it. Totally buy it. Buy that it's the same shark. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, and that stuff was shot off the coast of Australia, I believe. Not this. This wasn't shot off the coast of Australia. But when you see the footage of a great white shark or whatever it is, an actual great white shark, and I'll let you know what it is, but I'm sure you guys probably already know. Yes! I've always noticed that. Anyone else notice that Brody is topless when lifting the cage into the water? He is. And then he's got his shirt back on. I have noticed that. I love that. I love that line, "I got no spit." And somebody asked me one time, I don't get it. Well, what it is it's a little known fact that when you become very scared, very nervous, it is not unprecedented for your mouth to become so dry that you have very little spit because you're so nervous and you're so scared. And that's what that line is supposed to mean. He's so scared and so nervous, he's got no spit. Great line. Great line. Great. You don't have to show him shaking. You don't have to show him going, no. Just have him say that. Very kind of calmly. It's like, fuck. Okay, shit. Okay, now look at this. As Hooper looks out. That's so cool. Watch this now. So we see the barrels. Look at this. Well, that's the fake shark. But that looks real. That looks great. That's a real shark, right there, going across the top of the. That's a real shark. Spliced in really nicely. That's a real shark, right there, with its tail going away from the camera. That's real. Looked great. And of course, he sneaks up. Sneak attack. I love this. I love when he takes off the... Imagine it does that. What? Why is it making a noise? That cage looks fucking small, man. Oh, yeah. That's so great. So great. The size of him. That's a real shark. Right there. And he's like, where the fuck is my... Oh, shit. He's looking around trying to find the spear. And then he realizes, oh, shit, it's way over there. And then, boom, there's another attack. Look at his eyes right there. Close up. That's great. Can you imagine? And you can look on YouTube. There's videos of divers in this kind of a situation. It's fucking intense. Like this looks great. Close up, so there's a lot of commotion, the bubbles of the water, right? It looks legit. Like it looks... I buy it. Do you buy that this is a real shark? Yeah, I buy it. Sure. Quick cuts, close up, not focusing so much on the shark and certain aspects that might give it away. Now this shark, that's a real shark attacking the cage. Moving around like that was a real shark. Because the fluidness watching the shark turn, you couldn't get with the shark that they built. So that's great. That's a real shark right there. Moving around on top of the thing, that's real. It's a real great white. And that is too, I believe. And that's a real shark there. I believe this was shot off the coast of Australia. Again, I stand to be correct, but I think that is it. That's great shit. And it's spliced in. I totally buy it's the same shark. So when you look at that real shark that you just saw, and you look at the fake shark they're using, you're like, it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, but it's not bad. Like, I think it kind of still holds up. That's my opinion. I've said it like 900 times now. Darren Sand says, Jaws 4 is hilarious. Those track cables and wires, how the hell did they think wouldn't spot? Oh, I know. Jaws 4 is garbage. Well, here's the scene now. This would be genuinely frightening. Can you imagine how frightening this would be? And I love when he goes into the shark and the shark clamps down on his midsection, and you see the scream and then the blood coming out of his mouth. It's just great. I love it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I could feel it. Feel the crunch, baby. And even right there, when he opens his mouth going, you can see the redness. It's so good. This would have been terrifying in 75. Oh, my God, that would have been terrifying. And see him drag under like that. That's such a great shot. And then it's just Brody. Now, the audience is assuming, well, what happened to Hooper? He's still alive, right? Oh, he is, yeah, but... Oh, throws the compressed air into the mouth, which will eventually be the device that blows him up. That's so good. I love it. I love it. Still holds up today. Chris Manley, 1994, Quint's death is horrifying. It is. It is. How this movie is a PG is beyond me. Oh, I know. I know. It should have been R. Couldn't have been PG-13, obviously, because it didn't exist then. But now that's a real shark. I remember watching the commentary. I believe that's a real shark. That shot far away of the shark. Smile, you son of a bitch! Love it. In the novel, Hooper dies. Yes, he does. That's right. It's a great shot. You can see land there, too. So they're not that far away. Yeah, this is Laurie Strode fighting Michael Myers right here. Details like that, too. Stabbing the shark in the nose, but you see blood begin to come out of the shark. That's great. The shark takes a spear like, fuck, this shark's an animal. All right, one of the most famous, iconic endings in the history of motion pictures right here. Yeah, blow up. Come on, come on. Do you know how amazing you would feel if you literally did that? You literally did that. Anybody know the ending, the connection between this ending and Steven Spielberg's Duel? Comment and let me know. Great ending, though. Oh, my God. What a great shot. Smile, you son of a bitch. That's right up there with Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I think I like this better, though. It's so great. David Ferguson says, what about putting Jaws the Revenge up for a vote? Jaws the Revenge, Halloween 5. Frank, was it Frank? I think it was Frank Riker said, what about doing one where they're all crappy films? That's not a bad idea. I might think about doing that in the future. Yeah, and how thankful you'd be as well. After just doing that, you look over and you see, oh, it's only Hooper. Oh, I love his reaction there. It's like, oh. And they just share a laugh. Like, they don't say anything, they just laugh. Of course, yeah, he says Quint. No. That's intense. What a great movie. A movie that did not need a sequel, let alone 3 sequels. Although I will say, Jaws 2 from 1978 it doesn't hold a candle to the original, but it's actually not a bad sequel. As far as sequels go, it's about as good as you were going to get, pretty much doing the same movie over again in the 70s. I mean, it was not bad. It was different enough that you could get into it, but it was familiar with some of the familiar characters that you felt that there was that organic connection. So I actually don't mind Jaws 2. That's one we should watch sometime. But anyway, yeah, so that's it. That'll do it. The credits are rolling here. That was Steven Spielberg's Jaws. Yeah, the truck roar. Darren, that's right. Darren got it. Darren got it. The truck roar. Yeah, so that will do it for me. I hope you guys are having an awesome Saturday night wherever you are in the world. And if you're watching this after the live stream and you want to get in on Patreon, of course, that link will be in the description. A reminder to level 3 patrons who are watching this, starting next Saturday morning, December the 8th, 2018 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, what I'm going to start doing is, well, I posted it to Patreon, so I'm sure you guys saw that. From 11 to noon, I'm going to be doing the Horror Hour every second Saturday. It's sort of taking the place of Thorazine at the moment until the Halloween news starts to pick up again, which I'm sure it will. But yeah, so it's sort of replacing Thorazine. So like Thorazine, we were doing 11 a.m. every second Saturday. I want to try and do the Horror Hour every second Saturday from 11 a.m. But till noon. So we'll just go for an hour. Whereas Thorazine was 90 minutes. This I want to do an hour. Keep it really kind of tight and concise. In terms of the Saturday movie nights, I do still want to continue to do those, but I'm going to play it by ear over the next month or so because the holidays that are coming up, things are going to get a bit tricky and a bit busy, but I do still want to continue to do those. But I thought the Horror Hour every second Saturday would be cool, and we can talk about anything. So we can talk about Halloween, we can talk about anything that's on your mind in the world of horror. So that'll be beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for level number 3 patrons next Saturday and happening every second Saturday. So yeah, and then when the Halloween news kicks up again, if it will, we'll get back into Thorazine too. So yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. Haven't watched Jaws in a few years, so that was a lot of fun to watch that. So, yeah, I hope you guys are doing awesome. And as well, don't forget, I posted a video today from Marion Singh. I'm going to be... well, yeah, I guess I'm going to be interviewing her and also shooting the shit with her about Halloween 2018 on Wednesday, December the 12th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this YouTube channel. Marion Singh, of course, is the woman, the actress that died at the hands of Michael Myers in the new movie At the Window, when she looks out and Michael comes up to her and grabs her by the hair and smashes her head and sticks his knife through her neck. Yeah. So we're going to be shooting Halloween 2018 shit, if I said that right, on Wednesday, December the 12th. So look out for that as well. And I do have more videos coming. I apologize. Things have been a bit sort of quiet. It's only because this cold has been taking a little longer to get over than I would like. So, yeah, but I do have some things on the way. So, yeah, I will talk to you soon. Hope you guys are doing well. You guys are awesome. You guys know how I feel about you. I really appreciate it. I think you guys rock, and I will talk to you soon. And for those who are watching after the fact, well, you guys rock too. Don't think you don't rock. You rock too, all right? Just not as much as them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Cheers.